Captain Kevin Wensing, United States Navy, retired, our Speakers Bureau for our chapter, who is going to introduce our guest speaker, Amber Caron, Director of Communications. The floor is yours with Amber.
Well, thank you very much, Link. And Amber, thank you very much for agreeing to join us. I'm sure many of you are familiar with Wreaths Across America. I think my first time being involved with Wreaths was probably 13 or 14 years ago. It was big then, but it's even bigger now. Was in Arlington Cemetery, I think primarily initially, but now it's all around the country. So we're looking forward to hearing from Amber. Give us an update on the plans for Wreaths Across America this year, which happens to be December 13th, which is the Army Navy game. But I plan on being there to help deliver some wreaths. So Amber, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you so much for inviting me to be here. I do have a colleague with me, Jeff Pierce, who's our Director of Military and Media Partnerships. But I do have a presentation. It's really more so because I can talk for a really long time, which Jeff can attest to. Sometimes I don't know when to stop talking, so a PowerPoint helps me to stay on track. I have no intention of reading this to you, but I will certainly, Rich does have it, and so we can certainly make that available to you all. But we're very grateful for the opportunity to teach you a little bit more. I hope that you are all at least familiar with our program, but hopefully you walk away today with a little bit more understanding about our year-round mission. And that's really our hope whenever we talk to anybody. Wreaths Across America is most known for our National Wreaths Across America Day event. This year, as Kevin mentioned, it's Saturday, December 13th. However, it truly is a year-round mission, which is to remember the fallen, honor those who serve, and teach the next generation the value of freedom. I personally have been involved with this program for 18 years. This organization was founded in 2007, and I got involved in 2008. So I have truly been part of and witnessed the growth and I think the impact of this mission nationwide. That first year that I was involved, we had placed 24,000 wreaths at Arlington National Cemetery, and there was 206 participating locations who were receiving ceremonial wreaths. This year, as of yesterday, Wreaths Across America has 5,608 participating locations nationwide. We're in every single state, including Guam, Puerto Rico, American Samoa, um, and we will place over 3 million wreaths this year across the country. So to say that we've grown a little bit is probably the understatement of the day. Um, what we're going to talk about today kind of speaks to why we think it continues to grow and the impact that the mission has. So remember, honor, and teach. And the year-round program that we have is, one of the things that people talk about is, why would I support something like a wreath for someone who's passed when there's all these programs that are with living veterans? And it's a great point. We also support many programs with living veterans. We have programs that support living veterans. And the sponsorship of our $17 wreaths not only places a wreath on National Wreaths Across America Day, but it also allows us and affords us as an organization to be able to do all the other programs that we do and offer them free of charge across the country. So the wreath really is that catalyst that brings people together, and it's an important piece of our program. But that sponsorship does so much more than place that wreath. So when we talk about remembering our fallen U.S. service members, we do a lot of things, obviously, in addition to placing those wreaths. We have our annual escort to Arlington that will be kicking off this year on Saturday, December 6th. That is a week-long trip down the East Coast this year. We're honored to have many VSO partners, including a national vice commander from the American Legion, president of the American Legion Auxiliary, VFW national commanders joining us, as well as AMVET's national chaplain, and many Gold Star families, other veterans and volunteers that participate. And basically, it's a giant veterans parade. It's probably the largest. We haven't really actually tracked that with Guinness, but it's a pretty big. It goes about 2 miles long, and it stops in communities all down the East Coast. There's about 3 to 4 events per day. They take place at schools, at memorials, and really what it's about is celebrating the veterans in those communities, and helping kids to understand what service means and what service looks like. So we do a lot of school presentations, and it's an opportunity for those kids to also hear the stories of Gold Star families and learn about this, the stories of their loved ones who served, not about their deaths, but about their lives. And that's an important piece of what we do for Wreaths Across America is we always want to talk about those who serve and their families and the why. Um, so that'll be taking place starting December 6th and ending at Arlington National Cemetery on December 13th. We will be, and I'll talk a little bit more about our radio station, but we will be streaming that live. All of those events will be live on our radio station, Wreaths Across America Radio, which can be heard on iHeart as well as on wreathsacrossamerica.org/radio. And it's a great way to kind of tune in, hear different what people are talking about in different communities, and follow along as they travel down the East Coast. We also have a Remembrance Tree program. I'm not sure if any of you have actually been up to our headquarters in Maine, but if you do, it's not the end of the world, but you can see it from there. It's pretty remote. A lot of balsam trees in the area, and we have what started as a gift to a Gold Star mother has turned into a really impressive program with over 20,000 replica dog tags. So if you or someone, if you want to do a tag for yourself as a veteran, or if you have someone that you've served with or someone you love who may no longer be with us, you can have a replica dog tag made for them and you can pick a tree. And all we ask is that every 3 years we can tip that tree or basically give it a haircut in order to make veterans wreaths to place on the headstones of our service members across the country. It's a great living memorial to our veterans, and that becomes your family's tree or your friend's tree. And you can visit it whenever you'd like. If you're not able to come to Maine, you can do that online, and we can actually pick a tree for you. We'll send you a photo, and give you some geographical coordinates so that if you ever wanted to find it, it's just a really nice memorial that's grown into a pretty big program that's offered for free. We also have our Honoring Allies Remembering Together ceremonies that we do. We actually have an event coming up. And Jeff, I might have you jump in if I say this wrong. We're going to be doing an event on December 8th at the Military Women's Memorial, where we're going to be presenting. There'll be 50 wreaths presented to our 50 allies. Jeff, remind me which group is submitting that because I'm not going to say that right.
Veterans Coalition
Thank you.
International,
Thank you.
VCI.
BCI. I was like, I'm not going to get that one right. They are a partner of ours, and they will be doing that presentation for our allies on December 8th in DC. And then we also have State House ceremonies. These are events that every single state participates in, and it's an opportunity to, again, honor veterans in those communities and our states across the country, and pay respects for their service. So it's a great way to bring people together. And honestly, for these veterans to feel recognized in their community for sure. And obviously, be part of these events as much as possible. When we talk about honoring, we have, again, these are not exhaustive lists, but just an idea. Our biggest way of honoring veterans, and I feel like I've spoken to enough veterans over the years to understand that this matters in many ways, is that through our group sponsorship program, we were able to have any nonprofit. So whether it's a VFW, American Legion, Civil Air Patrol, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, if they want to raise funds for their own mission, they do that. They can do that through Wreaths Across America. Our group sponsorship program, better known as our $5 back program, has grown significantly over the years. And this is part of the reason why I think we grow so fast, is that people can use our program to raise funds for their own initiatives that support veterans and military families in their community. So as of January of this year, we've given back over $28 million to other nonprofits through that program. It's a great way for folks, whether it's kids, Church groups participate, youth groups participate. For every $17 wreath they have sponsored through their group, they get $5 back. And that is all year round. That's not just this time of year, it's all year round. It's an enormous program that gives back in communities that might be needing help. I mean, we talk about VFWs and American Legions, a lot of their dollars honestly keep the lights on for some of these folks. And some of them use it to put oil in tanks and gas in trucks, for veterans in their community, among other things. So it's an enormous piece of our program, and it's a great partnership with other nonprofits. So it actually, you know, we've said, our executive director has said this many times, for an organization who remember, honors, and teaches, it'd be disingenuous of us not to support those programs who are doing that year round in their community for the veterans and military families. So when we talk about honoring veterans, living veterans, that's how we give back through that program. And it's grown pretty significantly. This year we have just about 8,000 groups nationwide, which is pretty significant. We also have our Wreaths Across America radio and our newsletters and our other platforms. We have a lot of owned media, and we've done that on purpose. That's a piece that I've been really closely involved with, and Jeff has been very closely involved with on the growth of Wreaths Across America. We found very early on that we have a following of very dedicated volunteers and supporters. And what better thing to do but use our platform to share stories of service and success and sacrifice. And because we have people paying attention. So we have created our own channels, whether that be through Wreaths Across America Radio or through our social media channels, our newsletters. We have a very engaged audience, a very robust audience, especially this time of year. Right now, our average social media post on Meta is reaching thousands of people, just one post. And then as we get closer to Wreaths Across America Day, that number will reach close to the millions. So it's an important place for people to hear stories. And we feel like it's our obligation to honor veterans by sharing why they served, who they served with, and why it matters. And I think in talking to veterans over the years, that's the biggest piece, I think, is hearing those stories. We also partner with the Vietnam War Commemoration. We're an official Welcome Home partner. Our group, through our mobile education exhibit and other events, we've welcomed home well over 7,500 Vietnam veterans. And that's a program we take very seriously, and we're actually going to try and continue it moving forward, even as the commemoration starts to slow down here with the ending of it. But we are going to continue to welcome home those Vietnam veterans. And I think that speaks to also the importance of, again, giving a platform to share those stories. And people see us at these events, and they know that Wreaths Across America is going to welcome home Vietnam veterans. Jeff and I do a lot of events where people, they want us to do that. We are coming to these events, and people know that we're going to do a nice presentation, and we're going to make these folks feel the welcome home they deserve, I guess, the recognition that they deserve. So, and then obviously teach. This is a big piece of a lot of what we do. If we're not teaching the next generation what it means to serve, then I feel like we're not really doing much. And when you take a kid into a cemetery and place a wreath and say a name, that becomes a very lasting memory, and it becomes an impactful activity. And that's where we've seen a lot of opportunity. And we've grown our Teach program as a result of seeing so many kids participating on National Wreaths Across America Day. We now have a full Teach program, which offers free curriculum and it's service-based, character, focused learning from kindergarten through 12th grade. It's all Common Core standards, and it's been created by a Gold Star mother who got her knock on the door on Christmas morning. And she's done a fantastic job. She's a retired educator. And we have hundreds of lesson plans, and they're free for educators. We've seen tens of thousands of downloads in the last few years. We also partner with organizations who are doing teach programs like the Library of Congress, veterans, their veteran program, as well as like the Ike Eisenhower Foundation, the Congressional Medal of Honor Society, the Korean War Legacy Foundation. So we're partnering with organizations who have established educational programs also, and helping to get the word out about the work that they're doing as well, using our platforms for that, and vice versa. Our mobile education exhibit I mentioned before travels the country. It's kind of like a little museum on wheels, and it's an official welcome home unit for our Vietnam veterans. So that program kind of goes all over the country and does pop-up events, partners with different VSOs in communities across the country. And of course, every time we roll in anywhere, it's an opportunity for our veterans to come out, share their stories, have some camaraderie, be recognized for their service. I talked a little bit about the growth. So last year, like I said, last year we had 4,909 locations. And I think if you remember what I just said earlier, this year we're up to 5,608. So from one year, from last December to this December, that's a 600 plus, math's not my thing, 600 plus growth in locations. I mean, for the record, this is our biggest growth year ever, in terms of locations. And we were just talking this morning I was talking with the executive director about this. And, you know, the best we can say in talking with people is the reason why this continues to grow is that people participate. So you've gone to a location, you've placed wreaths, and you want to take it back to your community. You want to honor the veterans and the service members laid to rest and the military families in your community. And that's what's happening. So people are having a positive experience and they see the community event that is created by having this, and they want to bring it to their community. So over 600 new locations mean that people walked away saying, I can do this. I can bring my community together and be part of this, which is pretty substantial. And I think that speaks to the impact of this mission, and it's more than a wreath laying. So I think, we're really proud of that this year. We're excited. Lots of new people, obviously, and lots of new folks jitters right now, but it sounds like people are pretty excited about it. Um, our all of our wreaths are delivered by dedicated and donated trucking companies. So that's a big piece that a lot of folks don't know. Last year we had 739 loads. This year we're going to be close to 800 loads of wreaths, and those loads of wreaths are all in donation. That's the equipment, the diesel. They're coming to Maine or one of our many distribution centers throughout the country to pick up those wreaths. And our volunteers in the communities across the country make these truck drivers, who many of, as I'm sure you all know, many of whom are veterans themselves, feel like they are Santa Claus showing up on Christmas morning. They make it a big deal when these drivers pull into their areas. Um, it's a great program for companies, for trucking companies wanting to do good in the communities that they serve, get their drivers involved. Um, I I know a lot of truck drivers, and this is their thing. They love to be part of this. There's a lot of the larger companies have contests to see what drivers can haul for us. It's a pretty impressive thing, and as I'm sure you've seen around all over where you all each live, there's a lot of wrap trailers for Wreaths Across America. Those are not us. That's those companies who want to proudly tell everyone that they haul for Wreaths Across America. We do not require that by any means, and we're not wrapping those trailers. So I think that just speaks to the impact that wanting to be part of that mission means to these carriers. So ways to get involved in your community, obviously, I encourage anyone who's listening who has not participated on National Wreaths Across America Day to, at the very least, go to a location near you and maybe place a wreath if you can, or stay for the ceremony. Um, I think that's the best way to get a good understanding of what this mission means in your own community. Every event is going to be a little bit different because they're all managed by local volunteers. So we have a pretty small staff, less than 60 of us nationally. And all of these locations are run by volunteers. So we provide them with guidance and the tools to be successful, but they're really customizing it for their community. They're reaching out to their local VSO partners, reaching out to local military families and veterans to get them involved to participate. So it's a really great thing to do if you have never participated. And then there's other ways you can volunteer. They might, depending on the size of the cemetery, they might need help with unloading trucks in advance. They might need help with cleanup. Um, there's lots of ways for groups like yours to get involved in the communities and help on a larger scale with lead up because obviously some of the larger locations need a little bit more extra hands for preparation. Also, there's the, getting involved with group sponsorship. Not only does it help raise money for your organization, it also helps raise money for re-sponsorships. So it helps, and there's no limit to how many cemeteries you support. You can support pretty much every cemetery in the state, in the country if you'd like to, or you could be really specific. So it's a great way to, customize it for your group. And obviously, there's other ways, there's other sponsorship groups too. We also have a $5 forward group, and those are if you want to try and raise as many re-sponsorships as possible, a $5 forward group. So instead of the $5 going back to your group, $5 goes towards another wreath to help maximize wreath placement on National Wreaths Across America Day. But we work directly with these groups. We have regional liaisons across the country who coordinate with those folks to help them be successful in fundraising and getting attention. We also provide a lot of tutorials. So my team has worked really hard over the years. Being involved as long as I have, I pretty much know every thing anyone would ever need to be successful when it comes to participating in Wreaths Across America. So we have created a lot of materials. They're customizable. Every single participating location and sponsorship group gets a customized landing page on our website. It has a little wreathometer. You can set goals, and you can really customize it to share about your organization or about, your community, whatever is the most important to you. So it's been, very helpful, those pages. We've got a huge upgrade this year, which has been really successful. We do a lot of webinars with our internal webinars that are free to offer tutorials for folks. So we try to provide as much as we can to help sponsorship groups. And obviously guide them in asking for local support, just because, as we talk about, organizations and VSOs, Wreaths Across America partners with veteran service organizations all over the country. And through our platforms, we're able to give attention to their missions, get the word out for the work that they're doing in their communities, while also they're helping us in trying to raise awareness for our mission and then help us with the re-sponsorships as well. So it's been a very beneficial thing for us. We've learned, there's a lot of opportunities. There's a lot more veteran service organizations than I think people realize. Some are very small, but are just, really looking for ways to get information out. Then there are really big ones. Like we have a national partnership with the American Legion Auxiliary. And I didn't know before I started talking to the American Legion Auxiliary that I could be a auxiliary member. I had no idea. I didn't know what it meant to be an auxiliary member. What does that even mean? And now I'm an auxiliary member. So it's one of those things where people don't, if you're not in the military or you didn't have a family member in the military, you didn't grow up in a military family, there are a lot of these veteran service organizations, you truly don't understand what they do, how can I get involved, why would I want to be involved? And we try to give a platform to help educate people about the good work that folks are doing and ways that you can get invested in it. So I'm gonna actually let Jeff talk about Wreaths Across America Radio because a lot of the stuff that we do, I mentioned it a few times, but Jeff, I figured since you're here, you could give a 2-minute rundown or five about Wreaths Across America Radio.
So Amber mentioned a couple of times Wreaths Across America Radio. So Wreaths Across America Radio is our owned media platform. It's available on the iHeartRadio app, TuneIn, and Odyssey. So we're on the 3 major streaming platforms. And of course, our website, and right on the homepage, there's a Reads Across America logo. You can click on that and listen. What do we do on Reads Across America Radio? That's a great question. Thank you for asking. Reads Across America Radio aggregates veteran-centric content. So we have over 100 unique programs. What are the programs? Well, to be on the station, you need to be a veteran, or producing veteran-centric content, or trucking. Amber spent a little time on the trucking piece, so every Tuesday is Truckin' Tuesday. We pay tribute to the trucking industry because obviously high percentage of veterans in that industry, and they do a lot for us. The rest of the week, we run programs ranging, it's a kind of a block programming, if you will, format. We have a Marine who does a construction podcast. We have, folks that are helping people with their veterans benefits. We have folks that are providing therapeutic services during shows. We have a lot of a variety in the format. And then every day from 11 to 2, we produce a show and we interview our volunteers, partners, and or veterans, right? And so where I think most of you are public affairs or communications professionals, probably a little shy, this would be an opportunity to share the message of MOAA and be able to talk about your service. It's important to us, as Amber said, to capture the stories of service. We're also producing podcasts for our partners. So we started this 2 years ago with the Military Women's Memorial, and we produce a podcast for them called Her Story, the story of 3 million women that have served. Every year, I would talk to Phyllis Wilson, the president of the memorial, and she would introduce me to a retired Navy captain, retired, this or retired that, and nothing would happen. So finally I said, Phyllis, here's what we're going to do for you. You're going to record these interviews on Zoom, and we're going to produce the podcast for you. So we're 32 episodes deep into Her Story, and we're producing a lot of shows. One that I think everyone here will be able to relate to is I recently linked up with the USS Missouri Foundation and talked to them about because we also broadcast from special events, conventions like the American Legion Convention and various other conventions. So one of our partners suggested I go broadcast their reenactment of the surrender on the deck of the Missouri in Hawaii. And who doesn't want to go to Hawaii, right? And so I talked to their executive director and found out they were going to be streaming it. So I talked myself out of flying to Hawaii. I do work for a nonprofit, Reads Across America. Maybe you've heard of it. But she, through the course of conversation, they talked about 7 World War II veterans they recently recorded for various exhibits throughout the ship. And I said, well, we could take that and make it into a podcast. And she said, no, we want people to come and hear these veterans on the ship. But we did record in the early 2000s a lot of firsthand accounts of veterans. And I said, we could take those and turn them into a podcast. So we currently have 9 episodes of Last Battleship available for people to listen. And I'm going to say this, and I think everybody here will understand what I mean by this. It's super cool when you, and a little morbid, when you Google the person's name, and the first thing that comes up is their obituary, okay? But to have their voice and their firsthand account of their service on the USS Missouri transcend and live beyond them, it is, I feel, one of the coolest things that we could do, and no better way to honor those men than to share their story in perpetuity. And that's what we're doing. I've been on some honor flights and talked to these, Vietnam veterans and trying to share as many veteran stories. And I can't tell you how many times I've heard from the kids or the grandkids of a veteran that have said, oh, I didn't know my dad or my mom's story until we heard that radio interview, right? And so I encourage all of you, regardless of what MOAA does with us, to reach out to me and share your story. Okay. And that's what we're doing on the station is we're sharing stories through these podcasts. We're sharing stories through interviews, and then we're going to conventions that we're broadcasting and we're sharing these stories. And I know I went over my 2 minutes, but there you go.
That's
That was
okay.
great. Thank you. That's fantastic stuff. I was gonna say I was just gonna barge in there, but fantastic, man. I didn't realize all the things that Wreaths Across America is doing, and I hope hopefully MOAA can become involved. I've got a few ideas for you guys as well, and I'll be contacting you.